in private practice, but they came back. Miss Warren's stepson came to the office and is working with us. He's a former prosecutor and doing an excellent job, I might add. He's working at the state attorney's.
Which one is he, Ray?
No, Joe Warren.
Joe.
I mean, we've had people, we've got, Karen Foxman came back. Kevin Sullivan came back, on top of these other folks we're talking about. Listen,
why did they come back?
I believe before Matt Fox became a judge, he and Karen came back and forth like 6, 7 times.
But Karen Foxman's making $125,000, and she doesn't carry a caseload. I mean, sure, I'd come back for $125,000.
If she's making $125,000, she doesn't carry a caseload. What is she doing?
She's making $120.
Okay,
well, if you check the record, she got a $5,000.
Stop, please, Judge, stop. Sorry. What is she doing?
Karen Foxman is responsible for the entire operation in Volusia County. Both sides, west side, east side. Not only that, that means that she's responsible to make sure that all the employee evaluations of all the employees in that particular, which is over 100, that their evaluations are done, that they're done right. She's spearheading the paperless office thing. I heard us talking about CJIS earlier. We're going paperless. And she has single-handedly taken that on so Chris Kelly and David Cromartie and Shannon Peters can dig into those case files with those folks. She's taken on single-handedly the STACK. We have a case management program called STACK, which we're trying to improve and make better so that we can manage our cases better. Well, she's running that. She's responsible for that as well.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Sure, please.
I'd like to know why Mr. LaRizza has all these assistant state attorneys on his payroll that are running for office for county judge. We've got 2 here. We have Dustin Havens. We have Chris Kelly. They've taken either a leave of absence recently, and then we have another one in Putnam County. I don't know who's who's moving the cases along. Well, these people, then there's 2 more, I think, in Flagler. So he has all these assistants running for judge, and I want to know who's manning the office.
I believe Mr. Tanner in the last election cycle had twice as many judgeships.
Well, let me tell you.
Not that I'm defending him.
When I'm elected, if they want to run for office, just like I resigned to run for this office.
Is that a requirement?
My assistant, for me,
it
is. It's up to the state attorney to make that decision.
Is that a requirement for you as well? Do you need efficiency in that office?
Well, wait, you're asking me 2 questions there, Henry, so let me answer one at a time. Okay. First off, we can have efficiency and let prosecutors run for office. Let me tell y'all why I allowed this to happen. These folks work hard. There's no way a lot of them could afford to run for office if they had to resign their job.
How long has Chris Kelly been in state attorney's office?
I don't know combined how long he's been in the office, but I know that he's been ever since I took office. So for the 3.5 going on 4 years with me.
Mr. Smith, not picking any sides, but do you know how long Chris Kelly's been in the state attorney's office? A dozen years, maybe?
God, I don't know. Probably.
Do you know, sir?
I believe when he spoke, I think he said 12 years.
So I said that he's been with me since I took over.
Right.
And when I first came on board, he was actually working with me. We worked together. I don't know how many years total, but back to the point. We've got people covering every office and every responsibility while these folks are running. But I've made the decision, whether folks agree with it or not, or like it or not, that these are good people who work hard and they would be excellent judges. So I give them the opportunity to run and we take care of business while they're running.
Let me.
Right.
I've got. And now, if you want the last word on that?
Yeah,
okay.
well, I mean,
I would like to put somebody on the spot who is the only judge in the room, if he'd allow me, and that's Steve D. LaRoche, who had a very heavy caseload as a county judge and pushed a lot of things through. Are those numbers deceiving? I mean, not to pick either side, but do the numbers really mean much?
What number are you referring to?
Convictions, crime rates?
Well, as far as the number of cases, as far as the number of cases that go through, I think the numbers are correct. And not every case goes to trial because the defendant realizes that if they are convicted and the judge gets an opportunity to hear all of the gory details, they're facing a far harsher punishment. It's much easier to sentence somebody in an arranged situation. I don't think that either of the two candidates has misled anyone.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get, there doesn't seem to be any kind of elasticity with this. It's either he's incompetent or she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I'm trying to get an idea of, let me come back and thank you, Steve, Judge Steve Roche. Do you deserve another term? Do you need more time?
I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I'd earned the vote of the folks. I believe I have, and we'll see what happens on August 14th.
Don't take this the wrong way. Are you Mr. Know-It-All? Or do you,
No.
I mean, do you really think that you deserve another term to continue what you're trying to do?
If I felt like I hadn't done the job, and it's not just me, it's the people I got working with me. I can't take all the credit for it, but if I felt like we hadn't done the job, that I had let down the folks of the 7th Circuit, I wouldn't be running.
Judge Warren, are you Miss Know-It-All? I mean, what is he doing that's so bad?
I think he's let down law enforcement. I do. All the law enforcement agencies that supported him, the two big ones that supported him last time, they're not supporting him this time. I think he's let them down, and I think that, and they've told me that by endorsing me. And as the chief top law enforcement officer, you have to have the support of law enforcement in order to be a good state attorney.
Have things, I don't know how to say this without saying it. You were a prosecutor for 6 years.
Yes, sir.
And then you had a distinguished career on the bench for 21 years.
Yes, sir.
I know your late husband was an excellent state attorney earlier on. Do times change where you might be out of touch with the realities of the 21st century, budget cuts and all these demands and, you know, cops that don't get the job done right or prosecutors that are sitting on the job? Is it easy for you to point fingers at him, or do you say that you can cut? Let me finish. I'm sorry. I'm giving you a speech. Can you step in this seat right now and say, I can get this done?
Yes, because see, from the bench, I was utilizing all these services anyways. I've been in touch with all the people that he's been in touch with, but I've just been sitting in a different position.
All right, let me ask this. Mr. Larizza, could she step in and take over and do a better job than you, or at least as good a job as you?
No,
would you concede that?
No, I have concerns because she has been on the county bench for 21 years. We deal with the county bench, and she's been in the civil division for many years lately, not even on the criminal bench. Now, yes, once in a while she might get an assignment, but we're talking death penalty cases. We're talking serious felony offenses, not to mention budgets. I have to manage a multi-million-dollar budget. I have to make budget decisions. Judge Warren's, being a judge is very demanding and very challenging, but in a different way. She doesn't have to come up with a budget. She doesn't have to make decisions on who gets a raise and who doesn't.
And I'm not trying to cut you off. I don't know the background really of either of you, because I've been out of it with the new venture, you know, the last 4 years, where it was much more intense in that regard.
Right.
Have you tried death penalty cases?
Yes.
How many?
2.
2.
I've tried 2 death penalty cases.
And what did they
Once
result?
It's guilty as charged on both. One got the death penalty, one didn't.
Which one got the death penalty?
It was Enoch Hall, who brutally murdered Donna Fitzgerald, who was a correctional officer at Tomoka Correctional. The other case I tried as a death penalty case was reversed after 20 years on death row. I retried that case 20 years later, got a guilty as charged conviction, but the jury did not recommend that.
Judge Warren.
Can I ask you one question regarding...
That's a good point, though. Let me ask you.
Okay.
He says he successfully prosecuted Enoch Hall with a horrible murder of that prison guard. Wasn't that Tanner's case, and he basically got it at the end? I'm not trying to pick on you, but that was a matter of timing, right?
Right, exactly. And that's the other thing I wanted to ask him about, the timing of these cases, because he was elected in August, just like this August is the election 4 years ago, this August. And he came in and there were cases pending. And I wanted to ask him, when he walked in 08, actually 09, but there was a case of first-degree murder indictment on a case that he knew the family. And I wanted to ask him, it's called the Lightsey case, Glenn or Benjamin Lightsey. I want to know why he reduced that 40-year death penalty case when he was good friends with the dad of this defendant. And in January, when he took office, I believe he reduced that case to a second-degree murder and gave the guy 25 years. I want to know the integrity of his office, why he would handle a case of someone he knew and was friends with. Why wouldn't he tell the governor, Governor, I know his daddy, and in fact, his daddy is implicated in this murder case. I think you should pass this case on to another state attorney. I want to know the answer to that question.
What county was that in?
That was in St. Johns County. And
So
while
what's
I've been up there campaigning,
Okay,
people
Judge,
are telling
Judge,
me about
Hold
it.
on. What about what she's saying? What's your answer?
Glenn Lightsey, I believe that my opponent knew Glenn Lightsey as well, or knows him. He was an investigator. He was an investigator.
I don't know
Let
him.
me respond.
I don't know him.
He was an investigator at the state attorney's office when I worked there. I knew him. When this murder case came up, I sat down eyeball to eyeball with the family and said, look, I know Glenn Lightsey because I worked with him. Do you have a problem with our office handling this case? Because I don't. And the folks that I work with don't have a problem with handling this case as well. We sat down with the mother and the stepfather. We went over it. And they said, we're fine, Mr. Larissa, with y'all handling this case. Then the homicide unit resolved this. I don't stick my nose in the middle of these cases. The homicide unit, they get paid to resolve these cases, and they resolve this case based on the facts and circumstances. I'll be willing to bet my opponent has not read the case file. I'll be willing to bet she doesn't know everything there.
We're past our time, but I just wanted to finish up.
The bottom line is,
we're still going at it here.
The bottom line is that case was handled appropriately, it was handled fairly, and I stand behind the decisions that the folks at the homicide unit made on that case.